What's up, folks? I've just got done playing 12 hours of the new Keepers of the Flame League for Path of Exile 1, and I wanted to put out a quick video just to kind of rough and ready for what I've been doing, because honestly, it's been really fun. The league mechanic throughout the campaign was a blast. Man, did it overlevel you, but it was still very fun. It felt like it was pretty well balanced. It felt like the rewards were pretty good. We're already rocking ourselves a 6th link just from the mechanic alone, and I'll show you my tree stuff for that in a little bit. And we started off with the new skill, the Kinetic Fusillade, which is pretty much the Ember Fusillade from Path of Exile 2, except made into a wand attack, and it works pretty dang well. I'm actually very happy with how it functions overall, what it does, and the playstyle is very good. So I'll just show you real quick kind of how it goes. Basically, this is what you do. You just kind of walk through the map, click in a little bit here and there, rare pops up, you give it a bit of a tap, and this is your playstyle for what I'm doing it currently. There is going to be a lot of different ways to build this build, and different ways that people are going to be kind of going for it, seeing what it does, seeing how it functions, and of course I'm a little bit over geared and stuff like that for the 6th link and stuff like that at this point for the build. So my damage is a bit higher than it needs to be, but this was pretty much the damage throughout the entire campaign experience from the beginning to getting into maps to where I am now in maps. About tier 4 or 5 is whatever I'm doing for the most part. Pretty basic stuff, but you've got baked in chains, you've got baked in explosions, you're doing a lot of stuff with the heralds, you're doing all sorts of scaling with different types of elements if you want to do that, or people have been doing ballistas and all these things. I'll talk about a couple of the options later on as to what people are doing, but yeah, overall the playstyle of it is very smooth, very easy. Very fun to do. This guy spawns every now and then and gets a bit spicy because he's a spicy boy, but all you gotta do really is just, you know, do some tapping, maybe hold the button down a little bit longer, not freeze yourself, use, you know, bit of mobility stuff. But yeah, as you can tell, it's a little bit bursty of a setup right now. I'm still kind of getting over, you know, how to play it, specifically what you're supposed to do. All those things going on, but yeah, overall I'm very much happy with what it's doing, how it's working, where it's been going, and I'm hoping I have an interesting way of scaling it, but I'll talk about that in a little bit as well, or maybe we'll see. The way I want to scale the build is kind of dependent on what items are going to be available on the market, and right now the items that I want aren't available on the market because people haven't gotten to maps yet and all that stuff, so it feels a little bit like I'm hoping on a long shot that people start listing items for cheap, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with that one. But yeah, as you can tell, very nice little setup, very nice skill, feels very good to play, very quick, very mobile, just right tapping the old attack key here and there. Now let's get into how this whole thing works. I'll turn off my spell singer because otherwise you're not going to see anything. I am an elementalist with the herald nodes, golem nodes, and mastermind of Discord. I did pick up the golem nodes first, then I went into the herald nodes, and then I went into mastermind of Discord, but I did not have either of these nodes until I was done almost in maps already. I just did this before I did Katava. I pretty much went through the campaign with just Liege of the Primordial alone, so it wasn't much in terms of that. As for how I leveled through the thing, I just went up through here, went up through the life nodes, all the way over here, grabbed the wand nodes, then grabbed the golem nodes, grabbed the herald nodes, grabbed these wand nodes, grabbed a bit of power charges here and there, went for the crit nodes, and then defenses for the golem I just got as the very last thing I did here, so you don't have to worry about these. And then I did a long shoot down here to grab this one, along with Iron Grip and Iron Will. Those were kind of the last things I did. I did travel over here first to see if maybe I wanted to set myself up in this zone, but it ended up kind of feeling not as good, so went back down here and traveled down here. The reason we're traveling down here is how the skill works. So let me go ahead and just break all my links real quick so I can show you a little bit better on what things look like. There we go. Without anything involved. So what is the Kinetic Fusilade's kind of gimmicks? Kinetic Fusillade is a skill where you attack. It will then, after you attack, start generating projectiles up until the amount of projectiles that attack would proceed to do, and then it will have a short delay in the base duration of 0.7 seconds, and then those projectiles will start firing off. So what you have to do as a result of that is, if I take out both that and that, you'll see that it does 2 projectiles right now. When I attack, there's a delay as the projectiles spawn, and the second projectile is coming from the wand mastery over there. So a little bit of delay, and then they fire. So that's just one click. If I put in a volley and I click, you'll see that they slowly kind of all pop up. Not slowly, but they all pop up like so, pop, 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 and then they fire off after that delay. And now if I put in less duration, whoops, you'll notice that the delay is a lot shorter, as you would expect. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm just walking around tapping it like this, and that's essentially how most of the playstyle is going to go. If you click twice or just hold the button down, you'll spawn 2 sets of them, and then you'll fire off 12 as a result of that. Once they all spawn in, there is that little bit of a delay. The big thing here is that there's kind of going to be a lot of weird breakpoints. So in my case, I have a duration of 0.25 and attack speed of 0.22. If I were to break my skill tree here, I hope I have enough regrets orbs to show this, because I do. I don't want to necessarily do that too many times, so let's hope this all goes well in one take. If I break my skill tree like so, and I take this off as well, you'll notice that my attack time goes to 0.27 and my duration goes to 0.25. So if I attack now, you'll notice it's doing the exact same thing. However, if I hold the button down, you'll notice I am firing like 1 or 2 shots here and there, because the duration of some of those shots is shorter than my attack timing, so there's enough time for one of those things to fly, or sometimes a couple of them. There would be a play maybe to use the spell like this, where you really go for a slow attack time and then able to fire off like that full volley in between. However, that is going to make it so you have to make sure you don't get any attack speed, which can be kind of weird to do, and I don't recommend it, because there is also benefits to using Kinetic Fusilade as a full sequence skill. So really what you do want to do is you want to have that attack time to make sure that you are able to attack enough times before they fire off to kind of stack again. So here I'm able to just, I have enough time to click twice, so my attack time is shorter than my skill duration time, but I'm still going to reduce that skill duration time as much as possible, just for the feeling of the skill. So 0.22 attack time and 0.25 duration is a pretty decent spot for me to be in right now, so I just do that and 2 attacks, and then all of a sudden 12 fire off. And at 12 is important because the projectiles deal more damage per previous projectile fired in the sequence. So the first one deals 0% more, the second one deals 8, 16, and so on and so forth. So if you get to those 12 hovering projectiles, then in that regard you want to basically have it as fast as possible to get 12 projectiles, so the last ones do a lot of damage. And that's where you're seeing that chunkage happening in the bar there at the top. My weapon on this thing right now is absolutely nothing. It's just fizz, and a bit of lightning damage on it. Pretty good for, like, what it is for me, a level, 61 weapon that I picked off the ground. So not horrible, but definitely a lot of ways to go forward with that as well. So that's kind of how the skill works. The other thing you got to keep in mind for this setup is greater volley is in my support links, as well as the +1 here. So I have 6 projectiles being spawned on click. Because the maximum of projectiles that the skill can have is 12, basically once you get to 6 projectiles, no matter what you do, it will always take 2 clicks to get to 12. So if you have 5 projectiles in total, so let's say you don't have this wand mastery and you only have a volley in there, you'll spawn 5 projectiles. If you spawn 5 projectiles, or if you don't have volley, you have to click a lot more to get to the 12 projectiles before you can let them rip off, and fly off that way. So you want to get to 6, because if you're at 5, you'll first attack will spawn 5, the second attack will spawn 5, but you'll have to attack a third time to get to 12, because you need those last 2, because 5 plus 5 is 10, and then plus 2 is 12. With 6, it's 2 attacks. 6 plus 6 is 12. I was originally thinking about going this with a Deadeye and going endless munitions, but when I started realizing that if I got to 8 projectiles, well, the first attack is 8 projectiles, and I could let go at 8, but it's not going to do the full damage unless I click twice anyway, so 8 plus 8 is more than 12, so I don't need those extras on there. The extra 4 is unnecessary, so you're kind of like wasting getting additional projectiles, which isn't that handy. So that was kind of why I ended up switching it to Elementalist. Here, you could probably go an Inquisitor as well. There's probably Elementalist. I know, I think Mathel is doing a Poison Scion variant of it as well. So that's another way to do it. And I'm trying to, you know, go down here and get all this reduced duration. This will probably become a light of meaning in this area alongside of doing stuff here. I have not fully figured out all of that stuff yet, but that's kind of a general idea of how we're going to make this worth it, because this is a lot of travel, but we do get Iron Will and we do get Iron Grip. This is making my strength apply to my spell damage, and this is making my Iron Grip. This is my strength bonus also apply to projectile damage, so it should be worth coming down here as well for this, and this kind of is how I might be scaling it later on, trying to utilize the most out of these two. We'll see if that ends up working out as it is. There's a couple other ways you can do this setup as well. One of the things I saw people doing, and it kind of sort of works, I don't understand fully why it works, but you could do ballista totems with it. Now, ballista totems are kind of weird with this, because if you put in the skill into a ballista totem, it will fire off, but you won't see anything. It's really in a weird state where I'm not entirely sure if the graphic is bugged or what it is, and we wonder if the same thing is true for the Sacred Wisps, because they also don't seem to look like they're doing anything, but some people report that their damage does feel better with the Sacred Wisp, which is, I don't know why. So if I do this, you'll see things are dying. It's definitely firing off multiple projectiles. The volley is happening. You can see the HP bar is going down in chunks, so they're hitting by multiple things, but we have no idea how many projectiles are being spawned. I don't know how this is like functioning. Is it stopping to attack? Does it know to stop when it's at 12 stacks and let it fire off? I have no idea what this is doing, because we have no visual cue for what it's actually doing. That's kind of the same thing for the Wisp. The Wisp kind of just float there and they don't seem to do anything, but if they are doing something, there might be a play for that as well. So keep in mind, there might be a way to do this as totems. There might be a way to incorporate Wisps. There might be a way to build it as a pure Herald stacker as well, if you just want to go for the Heralds. Maybe some lone messenger action in the clusters. That was the original idea that I was maybe going to go for. Right now I'm kind of a hybrid between Golems and Heralds. I could also just stack Golem stuff again to get more damage that way. So that's an option as well. Lots of little things that can and maybe will work out and be the way to do the build. Right now it's kind of hard to know. I'm just testing things, seeing where it goes, seeing what happens with it, seeing how it ends up functioning. And also I'm using Spellsinger for just that Hydrosphere action, because it works really well with this setup, alongside of Elementalist for the affected resistances. I've been talking for 13 hours today, so sorry for the mumbling here and there. And overall, it's been really, really good. Link-wise, it's just less duration, Fusillade, Volley, Elemental Damage, Crit Damage, and Trinity. Trinity works for me right now because I am using my 2 Heralds as my primary source of damage. If I were to change something like that, then that's going to be another thing I need to think about at some point. This thing's really cool. The overcharged sinews, basically whenever you crit something, you get jolted. It makes you take increased damage, but you get 2% more maximum attack damage for it as well. So that's helping me a little bit there. I'm on softcore. I don't really care if I take a little bit more increased damage for now. Maybe later on, that's something I end up taking off, but that's a very cool little addition from the grafting system, alongside of the buffer barrier thing for when you do exposure. This is just giving me a barrier for free, basically, which works really well, and seems to be just a nice little additional thing on top. So these are both coming from the League mechanic, and the 6th link I got from the League mechanic is also fairly straightforward. I've gotten some divines, or a divine and a Rizlothas, but basically the 6th link came from the equipment womb. I went up here for the body armors, and then went up here for arterial meshes, and then just started spamming body armors from the mechanic until one dropped out. This color pattern and, you know, armor and energy shield, they're like 5C. If you're looking for like deck stuff, that's like 20C. But overall, 6 links are pretty cheap this league, and they're probably just going to get cheaper as time goes by as well. Right there, because they're already so cheap. So keep in mind, you're probably going to be able to pick up some pretty good stuff for that, alongside of other things that I've been able to get already. I had a Hubris Circlet from the League Mechanic that was 350 ES, just tier 2 rolls pretty much off the top of the rip. I've had a Rizloftus Coil, had a Divine. Pretty good stuff. It seems to be doing quite well for the overall, like, what you're able to get from the mechanic, and I think people are going to be pretty happy with it overall. This skill is functioning way better than I thought it was going to function. It's just smooth. It feels good to play. There's a whole lot of different ways to build it. I don't know what the perfect way is yet, but that's going to be a thing to keep in mind. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm gonna eat myself some dinner. I'm gonna get myself some sleep and come back on tomorrow and keep playing, because it has been a whole lot of fun. Yeah, that's it. That's this video. Quick and dirty. Quick and dirty, he says it's 16 minutes long. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Have yourself a good one. I hope you're enjoying the league, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Peace.